All right, you're live.
All right, good morning, everyone. I am Sage Turner, your chair, and welcome to the April meeting of the Housing and Community Development Committee. All council members and staff are participating virtually today. For those of you who are out there with us listening in, welcome. Thank you for being here. To help everyone follow along, I will state the section of the agenda that we are at as we approach talking about it. And we are streaming live on our virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through the hub link on the front page of the city's website. You can also call in to listen live by phone, and that number is 855-925-2801, and you'll be prompted for a code, and that code is 9791. For today's meeting, we have the option for people to call in and comment live during the meeting. To call in and comment live, use that same number, 855-925-2801, meeting code 9791, and your phone will be muted and you will hear the meeting live. At this point, the callers will hear. For more options, please press star. Pressing star 3 will allow callers to continue to listen live and join a speaker queue. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Callers should only join the speaker queue during the time in the agenda that they wish to speak. Okay, I'm now going to go through a roll call and introduce committee members and city staff that are participating. If everyone could remember to keep themselves on mute unless needing to speak, or I'm going to try and keep a queue as we talk, so if you need to speak up, you can use the raise hand option. All right, council and staff, as I call your name, please say a quick hello. Vice Mayor Shanika Smith.
Good morning.
Councilwoman Antoinette Mosley.
Hello.
Assistant City Manager Kathy Ball.
Good morning.
Good morning. Interim Community and Economic Development Director Nikki Reed.
Good morning.
And Community Development Program Director Paul D'Angelo.
Good morning, everyone.
Did I get everyone for this first part? Great. Okay, so we're going to start the agenda. The first item up is number 1, the approval of the minutes. Did you all have a minute to review, and any questions, comments, or changes? Okay, hearing none, could I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Great, thank you. I'm adjusting my screen, just 1 second. I'm going to move into a roll call. Okay, Vice Mayor Shanika Smith.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Mosley.
Aye.
And myself, Sage Turner, aye. The minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move right into number 2 on our agenda, which is community development and CDBG homeless updates. We have Paul D'Angelo, and we have his lengthy update available to us. I know I had a couple questions. What about y'all?
No question.
Sage, I'm happy to I've got 2 things I'd like to bring forward if it's possible, just to talk about the updates. Good morning, everybody. Paul D'Angelo with Community Development. Just thanks everybody for being here. Lots of stuff in that community updates. So happy to take any questions. A lot of information, sometimes hard to organize, but we're trying to get it out there. If anyone has any thoughts or suggestions, we're happy to take them. 2 things. The one super fun for us is we have a new employee team member who started just yesterday. I've already embarrassed her in our community development team meeting, so I thought, why not at HCD? But Laura Neer, if you want to hop on camera quickly to introduce yourself. Laura Neer was specifically brought on to help us out with the Community Development Block Grant COVID dollars. We've received about $1.6 million in those COVID dollars. More than our annual CDBG allocation. So she's going to be helping us administer that, as well as help out the CD team with a myriad of other activities we've got going on right now. And so Laura, she's outside. And Laura, if you want to say hi to everybody, that's great.
Hi, everybody. I just started yesterday. I'm really excited to be working with the city. It's something I've never done before. I worked for the Housing Authority down in Columbia. But I'm really passionate about this work, so I'm pretty excited to get into it and just get started.
Welcome, Laura. Nice to meet you, and thanks for being here today. That's exciting.
Laura, thanks so much for that. And I appreciate that. We're really excited to have her. Thanks to all of you for helping us out with that too. And then the second is there's been some questions about the Lee Walker Heights development and regarding the folks that are returning. So we did invite David Nash and Tara Irby to be here this morning just to help with those updates or any questions that might come along. Tara and David, really good to see you this morning, but I did want to give them an opportunity as we asked them to join this morning.
Good morning, David and Tara. Did you want to share any updates with us?
Sure, Tara, you go first.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us here. As I reported to Paul, shared with Paul that we continue as staff to follow up with formerly Walker Heights residents as they make their final decisions regarding exercising their rights to return. We're supporting residents in whatever ways necessary, and it is a lot of hand-holding and guidance, and as we help them transition back, and we're helping to facilitate the transition back. I've been in touch with everyone who is eligible to return personally and talked to them about their needs and their desires and how they actually go down the path of returning. So PPM staff, which is our property management staff, and our staff here at HACA continue to coordinate efforts in leasing up Building 1, in addition to beginning up lease up efforts for Building 2. That one is projected to come online at the end of May. 37 units have been leased at this point in the first building, 20 of which are our returning residents, 10 returning residents and 10 new applicants that come off of the HACA waiting list. The remaining 5 buildings are projected to be finished by the end of June. And we continue our virtual partner meetings to address project completion and streamlining the process for ease of service for our residents and prospective residents. And as we stand now, we have 42 residents, former Lee Walker Heights residents, returning. 31 not returning, 21 who were not eligible for 94. When we have one more person trying to make a decision at this point as to what it is best for her. And of course, of the remaining 96 that we have for the permanently affordable units that we have through HACA, we are working with PPM staff at this point to lease those up. And of course, those are residents that are coming from the HACA waiting list. They're collecting documents, determining eligibility, and facilitating the approval process at this point. And I'll just add that here at the end of 2 years and us moving back, helping residents to transition back, formerly Walker Heights residents, that in 2 years, a lot of things change, and we are certainly wanting them to exercise their right to return. But at this point, what we realize as well is that, they have the right to exercise their agency as well to determine if that's what is best for them and their families at this point.
Hi, Tara. So good to see you.
Thank you, Antoinette.
Can you repeat those numbers again for me? The number returning, the number not returning, and the remaining number that would come from the waiting list, please?
Sure. So at this point, there are 42 returning residents, 10 of which have already moved in, 31 that are not returning, had made a personal decision as to not to return, and 21 that were not eligible to return. And so that gets us at 94. And I have one more resident that I'll be talking to today to give me her decision as to whether she will return or not. And so that's 95. I believe there's 96 units. And so, and of those that do not lease from that number, they will be coming, the residents that will lease up there will be coming from the HACA waiting list.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Carol, can I ask a question?
That number is 54, by the way, remaining RAD units. So 42 people return, 54 remaining units.
Okay.
out of
David or
90.
Sarah, this is Sage. Could one of y'all enlighten me on what makes 21 people ineligible?
They either moved out of our system or moved away before relocation began or after relocation happened, or were evicted. Anybody who's still, or were evicted for whatever reason.
Okay.
So the remaining, anybody who's still in our system and either leasing from the housing authority or leasing with a tenant-based voucher is eligible to return.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, any questions?
I do have a question. You stated that the number of units available due to the original not returning would be offered to individuals who have been waiting to enter housing. Why not people who have been requesting relocation? Who already stay in housing, who want more favorable conditions, and have requested relocation? Just to bring clarity to the question.
You want me to take that one?
Sure.
There are 10 people who have requested reasonable accommodation transfers, and they're included in that waiting list. So they are a priority, people who need handicap accessible units and haven't been able to find them. And other residents who want to move to Maple Crest can request a tenant-based voucher and access the other 116 units that are not project-based voucher units. So some people are doing that. People who have requested a voucher to move out of one of our other developments are moving into Maple Crest as well, accessing the other 116 units.
Thank you.
I have some pictures if you don't mind giving us 5 more minutes. I don't want to interrupt the questions, but.
I actually would appreciate that, David, and I'm getting messages that one of our agenda items is going to drop today, so we have a couple extra minutes. Please do. Can you, does staff have that to share the screen, or was this planned ahead?
It wasn't planned ahead.
Okay. I don't know that you'll be able to share your screen.
Okay.
Typically, we have to have the documents, and I think staff have to share them. I'm not sure. Maybe Paul.
David, Paul here. If you have them in a PDF format and want to email them to me, I'd be happy to share and go that way if that works.
I have them in a PowerPoint format. Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay, let me just forward it to you real quick.
Excellent.
And I'll have share my comment while we go ahead and do that. I'm curious, I'm new on this committee and I wasn't involved when this process was going through. And I know now we're talking a little bit about deed review in the future. Do you think that do you have any larger lessons learned in the future? Would we do this again with the displacement? Would we try to prepare to not displace? Any thoughts on the overall process as we wind down?
We are hoping to work with the city on redeveloping deed review as a purpose-built community, utilizing the entire 60 acres that either the housing authority controls or the city controls in the area around deed review. And we're hoping to follow a similar model, which is essentially to double the number of units that we have on site. 160 is what we currently have at deed review. So we're hoping to build 320 affordable rental units, plus homeownership units, plus possibly some other market rate and workforce housing on the parcels that you currently own or are about to purchase. But the key to that for the affordable rentals is that we would build first and move people one time. And that, I think, that's probably the biggest lesson learned. If we can possibly do it that way, it's a whole lot less disruptive for folks to.
I agree, and I appreciate y'all looking at that and considering and sharing. Looks like your presentation is up.
So these photos were taken in late March. I'm sorry. This is the site from up at Oakisher Flats, looking out at the construction site. Obviously, 319 Biltmore is a lot of dirt in the front with construction equipment on it. And then Maple Crest is behind. To the right on the picture is what we call Building 1. It's actually 2 buildings. So if anybody don't get confused by that. But for tax credit purposes, it's 1 building, and the addresses are 10 and 11 Lee Garden Lane. So go ahead and scroll down. So that building is on the left-hand side of this picture. You can see where the pavement has been striped a little bit, and it doesn't have full permanent pavement yet. But it's a total of 64 units that have been released to us by the contractor. And as Tara reported, 37 of those are currently leased, including 10 returning residents and 10 new residents off of our waiting list. The building in the middle is Building 2, or 20 and 21 Lee Garden Lane. That has 100 units, including some 3-bedroom units. So several of the returning residents are choosing that one. And then the 5 smaller buildings on the right of the picture on the south end of the site. There are 48 total units in those buildings, and some residents are waiting for those as well, just to have a smaller place to live in a smaller building. The 2 large buildings, or the 4 large buildings, are all served by elevators, so they're all fully accessible, and they contain a lot of the designated units that are accessible to people with disabilities. Some of the ground floor units on the other 5 buildings are also accessible. So if you can scroll down. This is a picture from the old Lee Walker entrance coming up Lee Garden Lane, which used to be Wilbar Avenue. This is the secondary entrance that eventually will be. There's another sign at the main entrance off of Biltmore Avenue as well.
David, this is Sage. Is there a story to the Maple Crest name?
There was a maple. There was a prominent maple tree. There were several actually, but there was one in particular that was significant to the residents who are now, particularly some of the elderly residents who remember it from when they were growing up. So that's the source of the name. We did want to keep the reference to the old property, so it's Maple Crest Apartments at Lee Walker Heights. The street names are Lee Garden Lane and John Walker Avenue, I believe. So this is building, I'll refer to them by their street addresses now. Building 10, coming up the hill right beside that sign. I don't think he would mind me saying, but if any of you know Eddie Beck, he lives in that apartment that's painted red on the ground floor there. So, and then the picture on the right is looking from the corner of Building 11 back toward Building 10. This is the side of the property that faces downtown.
The side with the views. Those are the views.
Awesome fireworks views if and when we do that again. This is the courtyard. Building 10 is on the right and building 11 is on the left. See some of the balconies. They don't show up in here, but the new trees are coming. And we did, I think James Dennis from MHO was able to sprout a new sapling from that original maple tree. So at some point we're going, when it's big enough to be strong, we're going to put it in a prominent location, possibly in this courtyard somewhere.
That is very, very sweet.
More pictures kind of close up from that angle through the footbridge. Yeah, go ahead. So this is a typical one-bedroom unit. The living room and kitchen are open concept, one big room. So this is standing in the living room looking toward the kitchen area. The next picture is the reverse of that. Standing in the kitchen area looking toward the living space. The bedroom is in that open door to the right, which is the next picture, I believe. Yes, that's the bedroom. All of the units have ceiling fans and air conditioning, which are one of the most appreciated improvements over what we had before. These are views on the left out the living room window of that unit, and then on the right out of the bedroom. And this is the bathroom. So this is at the end of the hall. It's kind of hard to see on this, but I'm standing in front of that window that you see on the right, taking a picture down the hall, and then I just turned around and took a picture out the window, back towards downtown. A lot of nice natural light in the units and in the hallways. And the hallways are wide. The two doors on the left in that hallway are storage units for the apartments across the hall, and each of the entrances has kind of a personalized its own space, sort of front entrance space. And I think that's it. Are there any more? So be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you for sharing that with us and the updates. It's really looking great.
We are giving tours also. If anybody wants to sign up for one, just let me know.
I'll be calling. Any other questions for David or Tara?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you for letting us participate.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for being here today and for bringing updates and additional pictures and stuff. We appreciate it. Good luck with finishing out.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, everyone. That was item 2. And number 3, we have heard from the developer. We're going to actually pull this from the agenda today. There's a couple more pieces to line up and square away before we hear this one. So we're going to bring this one back next month. And so we'll get ready to move next to item number 4 in a second. I did want to take a minute to say something. So last night, several of the staff that are involved in this meeting today, some that you can see and some that are behind the scenes, were really up pretty late doing something pretty remarkable and helping folks move into hotels from being in tent camps. And I just wanted to give a shout out and just a serious appreciation for all the work that city staff are doing right now. There's a lot going on in extenuating circumstances, and I just wanted to share that I find it remarkable that some of y'all are working, way past 8-hour days and really trying to be there for the community. And I just wanted to express my appreciation and offer you the chance to share anything if you wanted, because I understand it was a pretty remarkable experience as well.
Thank you, Sage. And I'll let Paul go. We were able to move all the folks at the Riverbend Camp to a hotel that was really close by. And the experience was so rewarding in that they were so appreciative to find out that they were going to be in shelter and have access to showers and to a bed and, things that we take for granted so many times. So it was so rewarding. Every one of the campers out there wanted to go. And we have we have helped them all move, with the exception of one that's moving this morning. And, it is the reason that we get in this work, is because that's the true feeling of serving our community and knowing that we're making a difference in the lives of people. And so huge shout out to Paul, Chris Coral, and to Emily Ball. And there were a number of other folks, Nikki, working behind the scenes to get all the paperwork done and get you all staff report. And it was pretty incredible opportunity to be able to see and hope that this is going to change people's lives. And these were, I can tell you from personal experience, these are folks who are our homeless community members. So it was rewarding for me. I'm a little tired, but and got some good exercise, but it was such a blessing. It was an incredible blessing to be a part of that. And super shout out to everybody who was working in so many other different capacities to make that happen. So Paul,
Thanks, Kathy, and Sage and HCD. Thanks for the opportunity just to talk about this briefly, but I'll ditto everything that Kathy just said. It was just really, seeing everybody pull together like that, and being up at the hotel at the Ramada Inn, and Kathy just diving in, driving the van, taking that leadership and stuff was great, and very rewarding and admirable, and heart goes out to the team and the people on the ground doing this work, as well as our homeless community members as well. And Emily Ball as well for all of her work here. And then behind the scenes, like Kathy said, with Nikki and Christina putting the contracts together. And then the bonus was just being able to see a few team members in person who I literally have not seen in 13 months. So to give Kathy and Emily a hug was great, as well as the work around getting folks into the Ramada. Kathy and Emily, appreciate your leadership on this very, very much.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks for saying something and speaking up and going above and beyond to help. I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge that. And with that, we will move on to the next agenda item, which is number 4, an updating the presentation on 319 Biltmore in the city land. I believe Nikki Reed, you're going to be sharing with us?
I think I'm going to grab it to start, and then Nikki will tag team in as it's been a long 24 hours for everybody. But Jenna is sharing this presentation. Based on last month's meeting, there were a few things that the HCD committee members asked us to bring back for this month. So we just have a brief update on a few things happening around 319 Biltmore and city land. So hopefully we're able to answer the questions that you brought to us last month. And Jenna, thanks so much for running this show. Next slide, please. So just a reminder, when we presented the Affordable Housing Work Plan to City Council on January 26th, kind of looking ahead, 319 was one that was on the list of other partnerships that we were working on, whether it's Steve Review, Talbert, Ashland Avenue, neighborhood lots, and the homeward bound purchase of Days Inn. 319 Biltmore was on that list, is coming up for our 2021 plan. Next slide. And so just taking a look at that request for proposal process and the timeline, and those links should be live as well for people to learn more. But in 2018, there was site analysis and community input. 2019 was the city council work session and policy for affordable housing on city-owned land. In February of 2020, right before COVID, the release of the request for a proposal to developers. We were really pleased that we got 9 proposals back from folks, which was really nice to see. Even during COVID times, we extended the extension an extra month, that we got so many people interested in partnering and working up in Asheville. We took longer than expected, about 8 months, I believe, 7 to 8 months, and selected Homes Urban as the developer and entered into a letter of intent with them, I think in December. And Homes Urban, our partners here, have been doing some just general work right now with some site planning and conversations with banking partners, et cetera, who they want to bring on board. Looks like they'll probably do what's known as a HUD 221 D4 loan, which is something that David Nash did, I believe, with Lee Walker Heights. It's a little bit of a longer process, but very favorable terms. So they'll be working on that. And then in the spring 2020, just a reminder that City Council will vote at some point on selling the lands to Home Urban and a developer agreement. So sometime coming up soon, that might be more summer or early fall. And then 2022 is where we would expect the construction to begin. The next step for us with a lot happening is starting with monthly meetings with Homes Urban. We've been in contact beginning in January of this year, but some good conversations to happen about what partners are going to be brought on board, what's the appropriate unit mix that's going to work next to Lee Walker Heights here, how are we going to activate the community commercial space, things like that, that we'll be talking about, and you'll see in the next slide, Jenna. So again, what we shared at the work session in January was just developing this mixed use, mixed income development of approximately 250 studio 1 and 2 bedroom apartments with approximately 19,000 square foot of community commercial space. Again, this is nothing set in stone. This is where the pro forma and partners and the needs of the community, needs of folks in Lee Walker Heights, what exactly is this all going to look like? And that's what we'll be doing over these next few months before we bring forward a developer agreement sometime in late spring, summer, or fall. Next slide. And then again, just a reminder of what 319 Biltmore and with Homes Urban, this mixed units, as we said, 250 units and the 19,000 square foot of community commercial space. It looks like about 75 affordable units with an affordability period of approximately 30 years. About 50% of the units at 60% AMI with the acceptance of housing choice vouchers, I believe. 25 units at or below 80% AMI, community that positively addresses social determinants of health, and a minority women in business enterprise commitment. So far, the partners being Homes Urban, MPS Architecture, McMillan, Paston Smith, and Mayhack. And then again, that process was through RFP. The city right now is contributing the land. And again, that timeline that we're hoping to have some more discussion and a developer agreement spring of 2021. Next slide, or summer of 2021. And then we just wanted to do a review quickly on the city-owned land policy goals. Nikki, do you want to do this part of it on the presentation since you were really the leader of putting this policy together?
Absolutely. So just again, kind of framing the discussion here is just to look back at the policy that the city passed in September of 2019 about the goals for development on city-owned land. So you'll see here, the first is the affordable housing baseline. And this is really based on a mixed income approach. And especially when looking at the lens of 319, we're seeing that the minimum here when developing city property is the goal of 20% of all units being affordable at 60% AMI and to also accept housing choice vouchers. So that was baseline 1. Baseline 2 really talks about the length of affordability. And this is where we can use tools such as deed restrictions and the development agreement to enforce the affordability period of at least 20 years with a strong preference of affordability for 30 years or longer. And you'll reflect on the Homes Urban application met both of those targets and exceeded them in some cases. And then also that's kind of leads into the bottom line there. Exceeding the baseline is the preference because we do know that we are in crisis with affordable housing and want to reach that balance of providing units, but also recognizing that strong communities are based on a mixed income approach. Next slide, Jenna. And then procedures, when talking about procedures to really make property available, the city decides when properties are available. That just means that we do a lot of review on a staff level basis of looking at our available inventory and understanding what properties could be made for the affordable housing purpose. Then we do appraisals and due diligence. We did this for 319 where we spent a good year doing the appraisal, geotech, surveys, a lot of in-depth planning because of the size of the site and the opportunity to create such a dense housing opportunity there. So we did a lot of due diligence, really also to provide a level playing field for those that were seeking to provide proposals to the city through the RFP process. And then that's procedure 3. So the city, we work through an open and competitive process, QRFP or otherwise defined. But then also we did leave a window there unless otherwise directed by Asheville City Council or the city manager. And that really speaks to other opportunities that present themselves where it's a strategic partnership or something like that that would rely on council giving the direction to formulate a direct partnership rather than proceed through an open and competitive process. Next slide, Jenna. And so lastly, this is talking about the way we use our incentives in this process as well with city-owned land. And so what we've stated in our policy is that we may negotiate a sale or lease price of the property at less than fair market value to ensure that affordable housing goals are met under those parameters that we set forth earlier. This really speaks to the fact that when we were doing the work session, when we really understood what it takes to achieve affordable housing, it's all a matter of subsidy. So being able to subsidize the development of the housing on the front end or subsidize the end user, the renter or the homeowner in some cases, to make the numbers work. So this is in recognition that oftentimes it takes the value of land, being that that's one of the higher costs in our community right now. It really takes that financial incentive to meet those baselines. But we also must provide and see that evidence in a clear and transparent manner. So really seeing that all the financial incentives are clear and transparent through a pro forma, and that any and all funds that are received through the sale of city land will be designated for use for affordable housing. Next slide, Jenna. And so that was just a quick snapshot of our policy and how it informs our affordable housing approach on city-owned land. And so, Paul, I'll turn it back over to you to wrap us up.
Thanks so much, and appreciate that, Nikki. And then for HCD, and then of course with Kathy and City Management, this is something that I think that we've come really far when it comes to affordable housing and what I call the transaction. Like we're understanding our role, the subsidy that's needed, whether it's on the front end or the back end with the developer or with the renter. But Nikki and I think it's really important that the next step in this is kind of developing a policy that moves beyond the transaction. Again, we've got the subsidy that's needed. We're understanding our role, partners, and all of that, but we really want to develop, and we've got this in draft. And I always joke with Nikki that I keep threatening to bring this forward once I can get it forward, but we want to talk an affordable housing policy where we discuss anti-displacement and gentrification issues with the build. We want to make sure that energy efficiency and sustainability are part of our partnerships beyond just that transaction and subsidy. We want to talk about development and design standards. We want to talk about strong, compassionate, and community property management, that these builds should look like any other housing community. They shouldn't look like affordable housing. Very important, not only internally within our building, but with our community partners and the community in general. Obviously, equity and inclusion discussions at all of these development partnerships that we create. The importance of outreach to the community to make sure that we're bringing something that's needed, wanted in a standard and design that fits in with that community. And then also trying to balance our concentration of moderate lower incomes to make sure that we're developing and partnering for communities of opportunity, and not just here's the subsidy you need, thank you for the build. We want to just make it a more holistic affordable housing policy, which I think is really, really important and something that we'll be bringing forward hopefully within these next couple months for your approval. And with that, Nikki and I hopefully not only answered questions, but happy to take any additional ones this morning.
Committee members, any questions for Paul or Nikki?
Well, I'll go ahead and begin. I don't think it's a secret that in light of two parcels that were acquired previously through urban renewal, but were not set aside in the grouping of properties that we placed on the moratorium, it is my hope that this particular project at this particular location, given its proximity to Lee Walker Heights, to White Fawn Drive, to areas decimated by urban renewal, it is my hope that this project does not move forward. In fact, I would like to see this particular land swapped to be included in the moratorium for land acquired through urban renewal. Having said that, I appreciate the discussion about policy moving forward, but we are here today. So I would like to see or have it explained to me how this particular project is helpful to the community already decimated through urban renewal.
Thank you for sharing that, Councilwoman Mosley. I'm not sure if staff will want to speak to that today or address it in follow-up. I will layer on my questions when appropriate, but Paul or Kathy, did any response, or would we like to convene on this kind of idea and return with information? That's what I'm seeing. Kathy nod. Okay.
I'll be even more specific. Tell me the demographic makeup. Who benefits? Who loses? What plans are in the works to make sure we don't do even more harm to a community already immeasurably harmed?
I appreciate these points.
Yeah, I do too. I appreciate Councilmember Mosley's clarity in providing exactly, the question of what you would like to see answered. And I think in order for us to be very directed and very specific in answering that, we would like an opportunity to be able to put something together for you to be able to either review or in the next presentation. But I think it's a very valid question, and I think we should, for you as and other council as well as the community, be able to describe the way that the vision is laid out to accomplish that, or be able to say we may not go this direction. So I think that is extremely valid, and we are prepared to take that on. But I think we would be remiss if we just started talking at this point and not be comprehensive in the answer.
I agree. Thank you for that, Kathy. I think additionally, this, when we sat down as a community and started looking at what we coined the high impact sites, it's been many years, 4, maybe 5, I'm not sure. And I'll be curious if you could, when we come back with more information, if you could highlight the spending to date. I think we were under contract and we closed for 5.3. We did maybe 1.7 million in site work and planning to create a second entry and egress for Lee Walker Heights. I'm just recalling from memory, and this could be wrong, I think we're in for about 7.2 million already on this site. And it's been quite an exploratory process for the city and staff, and we learned a lot and hired some consultants kind of look at the holistic, how do we handle city-owned land? So I'm saying all that to say, some things have shifted in the community. Some of our priorities have shifted since we set out to do these high impact sites. So if we need to be looking at creative solutions around home ownership, kind of like the purpose-built communities we just referenced, this would be the time to discuss it. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Councilwoman Mosley. Any other, go ahead.
Yeah. And actually, when you do that evaluation of the monies already spent, could you also include a dollar amount of the lost in dollar amounts to the African American community as a result of land taken via urban renewal? In other words, the value of the land taken compared to what has been spent on this particular site.
We have been working on that, and there's so many different methodologies of trying to calculate what that is. I cannot guarantee you that we're going to feel great about how we do that, but we'll work on it. We will be able to address your question, but there's a lot of people around the country.
One may it's more than 7 million, correct?
One would believe so, yeah. I think we can all probably believe that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that I just don't know that we can deliver you an exact number, right? I think we get the understanding of the question.
Yeah, the point is
I think people around the country have been trying to determine what that actual value is, and I'm not sure that we would be able to provide that to you.
And, it would be interesting thinking more broadly in how we, the high impact sites were 3. I know one was not as buildable, it was down the river or something. But we also have Charlotte Street, which is a significant parcel and assemblage of land. So, maybe just the broader conversation. Anything else to add before we send staff back with some homework? Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman Mosley. Let me get to my agenda. All right, so we have completed item number 4, and now we're moving on to item number 5, Al Clement and the Juna Group. Paul, I think you're going to update us on the status of this project.
Sure, and thank you, Sage. And so we wanted to bring this forward. Al Clement has been a great partner to walk with and really respect the work he is trying to do over in Oakley neighborhood with his build. And if you all remember, we had given him or getting into contract with a $1.1 million loan for 11 homes for individuals and families at or below 100% AMI, area median income. We thought we could come in with a price at $275,000, which is where we would need that to be for a 100% AMI family with that 20% down payment assistance. So in looking at that and trying to work with Al, and he had a couple issues on his land, we were still hoping to salvage maybe 4 to 6 to 7 parcels. But unfortunately, due to increasing cost in construction, Al is not going to be able to move forward with this proposal and this housing trust fund loan. And so we're not sure exactly. And Janice here, I think if we have to do some kind of formal vote or something to pull the loan back. But again, Al's been a great partner. We're going to continue to try to work with our partners to try to find a way to be a part of the home ownership solution. And with partners like Al, and we'll, again, repeating myself, continue to talk with our partners here. But unfortunately, with the parcels that are left and the numbers that are out there for construction, we're going to have to bring this trust fund loan back. And if I may, Councilwoman Turner, I have to tell you all that on the ground in the community, we are seeing construction costs 15 to 20% higher than they were 9 to 12 months ago. This is causing a very difficult situation when it comes to affordable housing. And what we're noticing is it's getting harder to assist outside of our nonprofits to come up with a solution for homeownership. Here we can't make numbers work for 100% AMI. We're still in communication and negotiation with the Pineview condominiums. They are now struggling to figure those numbers out at 80% AMI. So I am concerned what'll happen there. So again, construction costs, and it's not just lumber anymore, it is a real concern of the Community Development Division, Community and Economic Development, that these cost increases are going to make our affordable housing work that much more difficult. And we are struggling when it comes to home ownership to how to make those numbers work.
Thank you, Paul. And that's partly why I mentioned in the previous item, the cost, because, we're getting 75 units for $7 million. It's $90,000 per unit subsidy. And, our policies don't reflect that. I also don't think I recall this happened with another project a couple of years back that needed to be reabsorbed into the fund, and we didn't have a policy. And I see Janice is here. Do we need to draft a policy? Do we need a vote? Janice, can you speak to how we take this money back into the fund legally?
Yes, good morning. I do think since you would have voted in a resolution to approve the funding, the Housing Trust Fund funds to go to this particular project, then you should have a resolution accepting that the money is being given back, that the project can't go forward as Mr. Clement had hoped it would. And so just formally voting on that. And I don't know if you might not have a resolution prepared, but it could be on the record a motion in the meeting minutes that could act in that regard.
Will this need to go to council, or can HCD handle it?
I think that HCD can just handle it because it's really funds coming back. Of course, when the funds were being allocated, council did have to give that opinion. Although, let me
I
think.
think it has to be full
We have
council.
a resolution on the record, a council resolution approving.
Yeah.
So yes, it would be cleaner to also have the resolution from the council that accepts just as HCD is.
So we could, in theory, then just, I could motion for this committee to advise council to
Yes,
return the money to the Housing Trust Fund.
to the Housing Trust Fund. Paul, is there anything about time frame? I mean, it's going to go back into anything about it needing to be reallocated within a certain time or fund?
No, we can, staff can put together that resolution. I made it a little help on what that looks like. And then we can, I assume, get on the consent agenda. Maybe for the second meeting in May, I'll work with city management on that. But yeah.
Okay.
So I'm kind of drafting a motion on the fly. A motion to recommend to council that they vote to return $1 million to the Housing Trust Fund from the project known as the Juna Group. Janice, does that sound good enough?
Don't know if there should be a statement, but just to at Juno Group's request, since they
Sure.
cannot complete the project as
Okay, so motion to recommend to council that we return $1 million to the HTF at the request of project known as the Juna Group. The project shall not move forward.
Isn't that number 1.1 million?
1.1 million. Thank you for that correction. Okay,
So moved.
thank you. Any further discussion or comment? Okay, so I'm going to call a roll call vote. No public comment, right? Vice Mayor Shanika Smith,
Aye.
Councilwoman Antoinette Mosley,
Aye.
and myself, Sage Turner, aye. Thank you, everyone, and that will come to council at a follow-up meeting. Okay. For those of you listening in, we have just completed item number 5 on the agenda, and we're moving on to item number 6, which is update about our affordable housing guide. And Paul, it looks like you're going to give us an update. I'd love for you to include who created the guide for us in the first place.
Sure. And so thank y'all. So while, we are struggling on the home ownership issue, this guide, what we try to do here with this affordable housing guide, I'm happy to share my screen. It's a little tough to see, but a little preview. If we can do a better job of aligning folks' household costs with their overall income with this guide to put folks in some of our affordable units, individuals and families, then maybe that does provide the opportunity to balance that household balance sheet and perhaps some savings opportunities for homeownership down the road. So that to try to make sure the positives that we can come out of this meeting today. But the affordable housing worksheet is put together by the CD team with many partners. Last year, we actually used a Kayla student who really helped out. And a couple of the Kayla's, Anaya Beck was able to come back again this year to help out, as well as our intern at this community development, Lucas Young. So both of those helped out, as well as many partners. Kind of starting in early December, we share this affordable housing guide to the community. What are we missing? What resources need to be added? What apartments are up and coming? And so that is what we have put together. And we did it in, the new thing this year is we also did it in Spanish this year. And in partnership with LATSAR, the Landeskai Association of Realtors, and their affordable housing committee, they are actually paying for the printing of these quad folds is what we call them. I think 1,000 of each, give or take. They should be done by the end of the month, and we will probably do a press release and distribute those amongst our many partners. So hopefully I'm not forgetting anybody, but the whole CD team, Anaya Beck with Kayla, Lucas Young with our community development team as our intern, the folks at LATSAR who've just been great printing these out, as well as the many partners who gave their 2 cents on what was missing or what needed to be added. So Excited to have that back out again. It was very successful last year. And again, we hope that folks can balance their household checkbook. And we did up and coming 360 Hilliard. Lee Walker Heights is on there. So a couple upcoming opportunities for affordable housing. We listed those as well. And I'm happy to take any questions. Yeah, there's last year's. Thanks, Sage.
I actually keep some in my, with me because it comes up so often. So it's really helpful. And they really did a great job. So this is the last one. Glad to hear that Lotsar is helping participate with that. They do have a new active committee that I think we should lean on more. I'm curious, it sounds like it's already gone to press. Did we end up adding did Thrive get in? Is there any Thrive info in here?
No, we didn't put Thrive. They have limited vouchers right now, and I think they've gone through like 2/3 of them. So I don't know, but yeah, that's something that we could look at next year, Sage. That's a great idea.
Shout out. Great job, guys. Thank you.
And
Okay.
that is on our website, Sage, so folks can not only access it through this agenda, but it is on our city community development website.
Oh, and I see Lotsar is actually on there last year. So
Yeah.
last year, and I just didn't remember. So, thank you, Lotsar. It's a great resource, and it has different locations, their phone numbers, their addresses. Some examples here. This one accepts vouchers and rental assistance, may have some maximum limits of income. A different one does not accept vouchers, has an income max. This one has an age criteria and ADA compliance. So there's some good detail on there. Great job. And thanks for doing that in Spanish as well. Anything else about the Affordable Housing Guide? Okay, that wraps up item number 6. And now we have item number 7, which is general public comment. I know we had a couple emails. Did we have any calls today, Jenna?
There's no one in the queue.
Okay, well, y'all, anything from the committee members or staff before we adjourn? All right, always a pleasure. Thanks to everyone for being here, especially some of the community partners, and great questions. Great work, everyone, and we will see you again soon. We are adjourned. Thank you.